Okay, the plan was to go to my sister's today, but after the sort of 20-minute, or no, it was less than that, about 15-minute conversation with her yesterday, I I felt today, after thinking about it a longer time, I don't even want to see her. I think she needs to get a solicitor involved to try and help get some sort of childcare for the child. But technically, she's got enough money to look after the child. She's got more money than I. She's got twice as much money as me. So me helping her to gain, to gain the kids, to gain Thomas's house, to fund the kid, I don't think I can even bother with it. She's got twice as much money as me. I don't think she doesn't, as a person, doesn't deserve it at all. The kid definitely deserves something, you know. But at the same time, I believe that I was Aaliyah in my past life, and she had quite a lot of wealth. Have I seen a penny of it? No. Have I known about me being her for like 10 years? Yes. And have I still had anyone help me get access to it? No. And if that kid doesn't have, technically, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I don't really want to have anything to do with my mum, and I'm hoping that when I'm exposed as being a god, money won't be an issue, in which case, this kid is probably going to end up inheriting my mum's Hampstead flat, which is worth $1 million. So whatever happens, I don't think that I should have anything worry about it. If Sophie was poor and needed the money, then maybe I would help her. But she's not poor. She doesn't need the money. Thomas had a similar kind of wealth to her. I think Sophie's actually richer because her ex-husband was really rich. And but yeah, it's got nothing to do with me. I don't agree with her attitude. And I think she just needs to get a solicitor involved. And if she chooses not to because she's an idiot, or because she just can't be bothered, or she's just not bright or something, I don't know. It's like there's something in her head that's making her make the wrong decisions. A right decision would be to be like, okay, let's get a blood test to make sure that there's evidence that this kid is Thomas's. Whereas when I suggested that to her, she'd just be like, oh yeah, maybe, I don't know. Like she's just, I don't know, she's just in a sort of blah blah world. And it's just like, I feel like, though, it's partly my fault, because I feel like I have been growing in power over the last 10 years, and people who reject me are going to just go kind of mad over it, because that I'm God. My spirit lies inside them. If you're trying to connect with the God spirit, or the Holy Spirit, or good spirit, or the ghost, or if you're trying to connect with God, you have to listen to the sort of advice given to you in your head. And if the advice given in Sophie's head is me, and if I'm just really pissed off with her for just acting the way that she does and doing what she does and just winding me up, it's the voice is only going to get worse and not help her make the right decisions. It's going to deliberately help her make the wrong decisions, which is winding me up. But at the same time, there's good and bad and everything. And but yeah, all I know is that my granny said that if you think you should offer support, then go. But if you don't think you can offer support, then don't go. And I don't think I can offer support, because I think I would just be too frustrated about everything she says and does. But yes, I have, though, been thinking it would be about education. If the world is going to wake up to reincarnation, start believing that this is the truth, then I think this set of education needs to change. Now, when I was in school, I am dyslexic, and that's definitely affected my grades and my ability to read fluently or quickly, and spelling as well. And so even though I was very intelligent and could do things and think well, it was hard to prove it in a test, because I would make mistakes all the time. And so I was glad that everyone, you're put in a class according to your age, but it does make sense to not be put in classes in sections because of your age, but rather because of your ability. The thing is, though, there is going to be problems, because some people are very dumb, and it's unfair for a dumb person to be put in with much older kids, just because the older kids or the other way around. If a dumb older kid is put in with some really intelligent younger kid, that might be quite unfair on them. But I don't know, if things change in the future, if it's promoted that reincarnation is the truth, and that you might be 7 and he might be 4, but if he's getting better grades than you are, it's actually because probably his past life was a life that, for all he knows, he could have been someone that the 4-year-old could have been someone that spent their whole life going through university and, education, lots of really good education. And then he could have died in university and then been brought up again. And I think it would be a shame to have to go through all that education. That's what I really hated when I was a kid. I really believed in reincarnation. And I didn't see the point in school. Like I didn't feel like I was learning anything. I was dyslexic, and it was like I was trying really hard to remember how to spell things, and it just wouldn't work. And now, I've had a whole life of education, and my spelling and reading is still bad, and I haven't managed to improve in it. And I noticed this at school, that I wasn't improving in things that I should be improving in, because my memory of how to spell and read things, it just wasn't working properly. And it made me feel sad because I couldn't get it better. But at the same time, I also felt like a fully grown adult being treated like a child, and I really hated that. And I think if I would have had higher tests, it would have, I would have been able to use this as evidence. I don't belong in this class. I don't feel like, why are you treating me like a 12-year-old? Okay, I am 12, but can you stop doing this, because it's really annoying. And this is going to become more and more evident as reincarnation is more and more believed. There are going to be lots of 14, 15-year-olds who are in school and just feel like, not like, yeah, they're going to feel like it's a waste of time, or maybe they want the grades, but they should, if someone is 15 and yet is academic enough to be able to do a degree or do A levels or whatever, I feel like that there needs to be some way of accepting that we're not all the same. Some people might have been reincarnated from the 14th century, like my sister. She was good at reading, but she was better at reading than me. But that doesn't say anything, because I was really bad at reading. So, but yeah, she wasn't very high achiever, and I feel like the reason why she wasn't a high achiever is because her last education was back in the 1400s, where education was shit. And there's some people who are very good at education, and they probably just had a recent education, and therefore shouldn't have to be put through the whole education system. And I feel like you need to recognize that there needs to be a new education system that recognizes that people are reincarnated, and that sometimes younger people excel much faster than others, because they are starting, they're more, they might not remember their past life, but they would be able to work out things and do stuff. But there is an exception though, which is dyslexia. That is an exception as to, it won't be easy to prove that they're educated if they can't remember certain things. But I don't know. I feel like the schooling systems should be allowing, because it's a long time, to have to go through 21 years or something to get to university stage, 21 years of education, when that person could have actually just gone through a whole 20 years just before they were born. And yeah, so something needs to be figured out of whether or not that is actually fair to make people do that. But then again, some people, they might have been born in Africa and had a really terrible non-educated life, and now they've been reborn in a better country with better education, and maybe they need the education. So, it should be done on people's play and how well they're able to do things. And another thing that I need to say is that if you're a multi-millionaire, you can't just impregnate someone and then kill yourself and assume that you're going to be brought up in that child's body. Hence, give all your millions to that child. It doesn't work like that, I don't believe. I think there'll be a catch on it because, you know, if you get someone pregnant and then deliberately kill yourself by that child, whoever goes in that child, you know, it is a form of punishment because they're going to have to grow up without a father. But at the same time, if you've deliberately done this with the intention to give all your millions to that child, hoping that that child will be you, it doesn't work like that. So don't do that, basically. And the third thing that I'd want to say is I'm pretty sure Thomas will be coming back, but there is one exception, which is if the child has Down syndrome. If a child has Down syndrome, I'm pretty sure, you know, if the brain isn't able to process as well as it can, as well as it should do as a human, I'm pretty sure children with Down syndrome are children who have the souls have only been human for the first time, and it could also be they, you know, an appropriate soul would go into the appropriate body. Okay, missing arms and legs, this is unfortunate, and it's nothing to do with the brain. But if it's to do with the brain, then, you know, a limitation will be on the brain. Hence, a soul would be chosen according to the ability, the opportunities that they'll be able to do. So Thomas won't be coming back if my sister's child has Down syndrome, and that's just something that I'd have to add. Yes, and I don't know what else to say.